Hey, and welcome to the factory, map 12 of Doom 2. So we're gonna head inside here. This is a little crevice where there's a bunch of shotgunners inside. There's some armor up top, that's the main reason I'm coming in here. But also we can get loaded up with a bunch of shotgun shells, which will be very useful. So we are playing the beta version of this level here, and rather than there being an elevator to get inside this room here, there's actually just a single door. And as you can see, there's more of a hell aesthetic going on in there, like with meaty floors and all that goodness. You can also see that the textures outside here are not quite right. In the final version of this level, it's more smaller brickwork, I think. I think there's like yellow ones on the right and red ones on the left. Or have I got that the wrong way around? Anyway, whole point is we have to kill all these imps inside this room. And honestly, I always avoid this room when I'm doing my normal playthroughs just because I don't really think this room's worth the hassle. There's just too many imps in here. You blow through too much ammo to kill everything, and honestly, it's just not that fun an encounter. So we're going to run inside here, grab some shotgun shells and blast these guys in the face. You can see that this room is quite different to the final room. Obviously the trap is the same with the imps, but basically it has a very different aesthetic going on here. I'm not quite sure what they were shooting for here, because there's not much else on this level that really matches that aesthetic. So in a way I'm kind of glad that they switched it round in the final version of the level. So we're going to shoot this Arachnotron here. This is one of those levels that makes use of Arachnotrons. They're like little sentries that go around shooting things. This room doesn't change much at all, in fact, I'd argue, between retail and the beta here. The big thing here is that you don't want to go into that teleporter at the top there. The reason for that is because it teleports you into a small imp trap, and no matter how much health you've got, like, it's pretty much guaranteed they're going to scratch the heck out of you. So I'm going to grab this here, I'm going to come over here, grab the chain gun from up top here, and that should see us for the rest of the level here, basically. I do want to get rid of this guy here, so let's do this. Thank you. Just got to be careful here, because this guy can... yeah, let's just take him out with the chain gun. The main aim here is that you don't want to get into too much hassle with this guy, because he will chip away at your health. And as mentioned, you don't want to go into that teleporter, because even though there is a supercharge in there, there's a bunch of imps who will basically make it redundant and probably kill you. So instead, what we're going to do, we're going to head back outside here, and we're going to head into the main portion of this level. Actually, I'm going to go and grab some health first. So this level's quite generous with the health, but you've got to go looking for it. So as you can see here, I have grabbed some health, which is pretty nice. So we'll head inside the factory part of the level here. We'll take out the Arachnotron here before we do that. It's interesting that this level doesn't give you a super shotgun in the beta. In the final level you can get one inside here, but we'll talk about that in a minute when we head inside that area. Just going to take down the Mancubus here. If I was playing the complete raw version of this WOD, because there's several versions of these beta ones, this is a fixed version so I can actually play it with Doom 2. But if we were playing this on the original WOD file, the Arachnotrons actually have their chain guns, which were originally what that enemy was conceived to have, so they wouldn't have had the plasma rifle. I don't know if I'd have liked the Arachnotrons as much if they were hit scan enemies, because I think the chain gunners really fill that hole very nicely in this game. We really didn't need Arachnotrons adding to the hit scanner party. This is kind of a throwback room, because the puzzle to get to the switch over there is kind of like the one in E2M2, where you have to kind of trigger the pathway in the correct order. If you don't, you end up raising the pain floor. So we're going to take out all the enemies inside here. There's a few chain gunners tucked away, so we've got to be wary of them. Like that. But there is indeed a BFG parked at the back of this room, which we really want. So, what's interesting about this room... Oh, first let's sort you out. So this room actually changes a fair bit, and it's kind of broken in the beta here. So when you try and leave, you can see it asks for a red key, but there's no red key inside here. At least not one that I can find. If there is a red key in here, then I haven't seen it. And trust me, I've gone looking for it. What's interesting as well is that in the final retail version of this room, there's actually a super shotgun in here. Obviously, I'm going to have to use the no clip to get out of that room because otherwise we'd have to, you know, start the level again. This is still the same. This actually makes it into the final version of this level. So this is quite a nasty trap because it puts a berserk pack right there, and then it expects the new players to kind of just wander up, and there's a bunch of lost souls waiting to eat the player. So you can see here, I'm going to be trying to edge around here. That's because in the beta version of this level, there's actually a spectre at the end of this corridor. And what that means is that you either have to kill it before you get to it, or you can't grab that cell ammo, which it's standing on top of, and I really want that cell ammo. So you can see there that it's a spectre, and we've managed to draw it out here. Now, in the final version of this level, they changed that to a shotgunner. Now, a shotgunner, obviously, you can kill as you're kind of running towards it, but a spectre takes several shots. So, I think that's a very good change, at least in my opinion. Oh, okay. I have to be honest, this is not one of my favourite Doom 2 levels. And that's that. So that's the imp trap we were talking about earlier. So if you went into that teleporter where we fought the Baron way earlier in this level, you'd actually get teleported up there, and the imps would just attack you on sight. And unless you've got a lot of health and armor, you're pretty much dead. So we'll grab that. It's interesting to me that they put the blue and yellow keys so close together in this level, because there's plenty of places they could have put the yellow key and the blue key. But as said, I'm not a huge lover of this level. I'm trying to... Is that Arachnotron in the walls? I can hear an Arachnotron kind of like walking around, and I'm guessing... Let's take you out. I'm guessing it's either outside, and I can just hear it really well, or there's one in the walls. I don't know why they put one in the walls. Oh, did I just miss that? So I'll show you now what happens when you go through here. It takes you to the top where that supercharge was. No, I think the Arachnotron's outside. It kind of has to be outside, doesn't it? Yeah, because it's getting louder as it gets to that door. Let's go and kill it. This is the thing with this level. These Arachnotrons will just kind of follow you around out here, and they'll make your life hell if you bump into them. Like this one. What's interesting as well is if you play the raw version of this WOD, you don't actually get this sky texture. You get a hell. It's like a hell mountain texture. It's kind of like Inferno sky, except the mountains are kind of brown. Unfortunately, that got lost in this fixed version of the beta file. So welcome to this room here, which I'm pretty sure everyone has opinions on. The red key, from what I remember, is where I'm stood now. So when Doom 2 released retail, I remember you could pick the red key up from here. And as you can see, we can't even get back outside the door there. So once we're inside here, we have to kind of accept our fate here. I really don't understand what the deal is with this red key. Like, was it really that difficult to find somewhere to put the red key? I know people have got opinions on this final room here. My opinion is that it's kind of tedious. But it is interesting, as you'll see when we go to the exit in a second, it is interesting that they had a different idea for how this level should end. So, still haven't hit all the switches here, so let's just do that quickly. I really don't want any of them alive. I want them all dead. All of them. Take you out. I think we've got all the switches. Yes, we have. So this is the final room here. And then what's this? For some reason, it teleports you to this room here. I really don't understand what they were shooting for here. It's kind of tucked away in the walls, out of sight. It is the end of the level. In the final retail version, you literally just walk into the teleporter and it ends the level. But I'm guessing they wanted to go for something a bit more mysterious there. I don't know. As said, the main thing that's different in this level is the texture work, but there are a few points that would be tidied up and changed, and rather than go through this level wholly on the PC retail again, I just want to show off some of the differences. So you can see here, this now has a brick texture work, and the hell aesthetic's gone, and there's a lift into it. And as you can see on the left here, that they've got like the same bricks but a different colour. I actually prefer this. I think this looks a lot nicer, a lot cleaner. But functionally, this is the same trap, so it's the same idea, just put to the player in a very different way. But still too many imps in my opinion. So we'll go back to this room here where we couldn't get out. So the door still locks you in here. You can't just walk out, but as you can see there's a super shotgun behind our friend and a switch on the wall. Now that opens the door to let us out of here. So you can see that at some point someone was like, we need to fix this. So that's great and all, but what wasn't fixed was this. You still need the red key to get out of here. And since the level doesn't give you one, that basically means you come to a point of no return here. It's pretty silly in my opinion, but hey, that's just what it is, isn't it? So now we're going to dive into the PlayStation version of this level, and it takes a lot of cues from the PC version that we were just looking at. Again though, they've made this part a lot smaller, so it's not as tall. But it's still worth coming in here if you're pistol starting, because the shotgun ammo is really useful, as you saw in my previous playthrough. The arachnotrons are a lot quieter in this version, I find. They kind of more likely to sneak up on you on this level. So you can see here, this makes use of the lift that we saw in the retail version. My guess is that they were trying to show like that some of the buildings have been corrupted, and that's what the original idea for this room was. But it sort of stands out a bit too much compared to the rest of the level, where it really doesn't have anything like that in it. And obviously the whole point of this middle section of Doom 2 is that you're supposed to be fighting in the hometown of the protagonist here, and the closer you get to hell, the more corruption there is. And I think that like in this first level they have to sort of seal that a bit more by not having any real corruption going on, just lots of enemies. At least that's my interpretation of why they changed it. As you can see here, the arachnotrons are still present and correct. There have been some enemies removed, so there's no chain gunners now on this level, which I think is a bit of a blessing, but that's really up to you. This room, by and large, hasn't changed, except for the fact they took out the Baron, which is a bit sad, but I guess we've come to expect these kind of limitations in the Doom 2 levels here. It does make this room considerably easy. I mean, I say that and I'm about to die here, so, you know, can't really say that too loudly, can I? Is it not letting me shoot that? Okay. For some reason though, it wasn't aiming up at the imp on top of those boxes. Now, obviously, not going inside that teleporter there, it would be suicide with this much health. Even if I went in after grabbing this, it would be a bit too much, I reckon. You'll also notice to the right here they got rid of a box. I'm just assuming they've done this to make it easier for players to walk over to the chain gun, because in the PC versions you have to kind of run across a small gap there. Tear down our favourite spider boy here. As you can see, the arachnotrons do pose a threat, because if they see you from a distance they will just shoot you from a long distance, and the plasma bullets that they shoot, while one won't do too much damage, 2 or 3 starts to add up in a very nasty way. So we'll dive back in here. Functionally, this part of the level is pretty much untouched in terms of differences. It's interesting because in the first third of this Doom 2, there's a lot of the levels that haven't been really removed. They've only been altered in various aspects. But from this point onwards, whole levels are going to go missing, and it's going to be interesting to discuss why that probably was and the reasons made for those cuts. For example, Downtown, the next level, which very much splits opinion, will not be making the cut, and we'll talk about that in the Downtown video, but I have various reasons why I suspect that level didn't make the cut. And not just because it's rubbish, although it is rubbish. As you can see, there's a super shotgun there. So I'm going to go in here first, grab that, and then I'm just going to take out all the shotgunners here. I think the decision to put a shotgun at the end here was a better one. I think if they'd left the Spectre there, there's too many players who wouldn't have been able to handle it, because you really need the super shotgun to take out the Spectre in time. Otherwise that cell ammo just basically sits there. There's challenging, and then there's kind of being a bit mean, and I think the Spectre was a bit mean. So this is the other way you can approach these Lost Souls. You can show up here and take them out. This is my preferred way of doing this, because it kind of doesn't really give them much option to attack you. So we're going to crawl over here. Again, it's the same basis as what the PC version works off of. If you raise the thing in the wrong order, you get the toxic floor, which, you know, fair enough. I think my problem with this level is that it's just not that fun to play through some of these little side areas. Like this area here, for example, it's just not that fun for me. It's just dark, and that's not challenging. That's just the game devs turning lights out. As you can see in this version, there's no chain gunners here, which makes this remarkably easier. And because we've been collecting cell ammo as we've been running through the level, we are going to have a nice time here just using this on all the mancubus outside. If you try to go for the mancubus without going for the BFG or super shotgun, I generally find this becomes a bit of a pain. Nice. So in this version there's 3 Lost Souls in there. Normally it's a chain gunner on Ultraviolence, so there's a small change for you. I think the big thing with this level is that this is supposed to be the big introduction to like the city levels, and I just think that it's a very flat level with not much really remarkable going on in it. I think the final room is probably the most memorable aspect of this level. But we'll dive in here just so I can show you that, like, this is what it's like when you actually come in here and fight the imps. Luckily we were armed with the correct weapon for the job. But you'll also notice that this version hasn't given us a red key either, although the devs for this version very kindly decided to remove the red key requirement on the other side of this door, which I personally think is what the PC version should have done. If they weren't going to put a red key in the level, they should have just left it, because to me it just kind of seems silly that, like, you're not going to let the player come back out. If they wanted this to be a point of no return, then grand, but why was there a red key in here in the initial release of Doom 2? It's one of those deep lore topics that I'm sure has a very innocent answer, but, like, I'm sure people have speculated on why the red key was just kind of, like, so mishandled in this level, because it's in some versions, it's not in other versions, and then in this version it's completely abandoned, but in the retail version it's there, and I think in the Game Boy Advance version, like, it's back. So there was no consistency on that red key in these levels. Personally, I prefer the way the PS1 version here handles it. If you're not gonna put the key in the level, just don't put the key thing in the level, because it just creates the illusion that the player's missed something. But I'm sure someone in the comments is going to talk about how this door and how the red key came to be such a mess. I've not done all the switches. Again, this is one of those puzzles that's not really a fun puzzle, it's just kind of here to slow you down. There we go. But yeah, this is the factory, and as mentioned, it's not one of my favourite levels. I kind of always zoom through this as quickly as possible because I just find it kind of dull, a bit tedious, much like some of the other city levels as well. But it's here in the PS1 version, it's in the retail release, and you've seen the beta of it. So what did you think of this level? Do you like the factory? Do you hate the factory? Do you prefer the PS1 version? Do you prefer the beta? And what is up with that red key? Do let me know in the comments down below.